This is Reese. Reese has been a partner in 6 different companies and he's scaled to $1 million a year every single time using cold email. Recently, he cracked 100K a month again with his company, and he just uploaded a video on how he added 41K in MRR using cold email and using a tool called Inframail. If you don't know who I am, my name's Kudus. I'm 26 years old. I live in New York City, and I'm co-founder of Inframail. And we've sent tens of millions of cold emails for companies you probably heard of, like Seamless.ai, Aftership.com, Ocean.io, Air.ai, and 2,000 plus other B2B companies and marketing agencies. We've also worked with Reese. So if you're a B2B agency or you're a B2B company and you haven't cracked cold email yet, this is the video to watch because Reese is gonna break down every single part of his cold email campaign. We're gonna cover 5 different topics in this video, so I really want you to stay till the end, but I wanna give you a high-level overview. Number 1, we're gonna see proof of how Reese gets 15 to 25% reply rates on his cold email campaigns. This is, by the way, really unheard of. Number 2, we're gonna talk about the tools he used to add 41K in MRR using cold email. What was his tool stack? Number 3, we're gonna talk about his list building process and how he actually contacts hyper-targeted leads and builds a hyper-targeted list so his message resonates every single time. Number 4, we're gonna talk about his irresistible offer, of course. What is he even selling to get these results? And number 5, last but not least, we need to talk about his appointment setting process and his sales process, which is a very, very crucial part of running cold emails. So stay tuned to the rest of the video. Reese is going to drop some gems. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this.
A lot of people are going to be like, well, who's this guy? And I want to be like, dude, this guy's getting 15% reply rates. Like, check out his stuff.
So this is looking at a little bit longer time horizon. This is 12 months. You can see we had some periods where we actually weren't sending at all. And then now you can see how we're getting super, super dialed. And this last 60 days or so, we've been just up and to the right. I just made a video on my channel recently. We locked down like 42,000 in new sales in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit even less than that because we've been getting sales staff members and everything rolling. And so, yeah, it's kind of a cool visualization. That's why I love it instantly too. You can just see everything. So if we go to like last 3 months, it's 14.64% reply rate. And then out of that too, we've actually been able to convert 1% of those deals. You know, that kind of gives you a ballpark of where we're at on that side of things. I just looked at the CRM. We built everything in Google Sheets. Yeah. But one of the big things right now that I'm focused on is, keep sending really high quality campaigns with volume, right? You can see a huge difference from, we got one campaign live this week. That doesn't really do it anymore. We're getting 3 campaigns launched 5 days a week, so we're at about 15. I'd like to go to 10 per day, which would be this big amplification that hopefully we scale out and we even see this go like, oh my gosh, this was nothing compared to where we went with the volume, but maintaining that reply rate is going to be huge, right? So I think right now, if we go to even 3 months, what are we at? Same thing. But yeah, if we can maintain that, we're going to be good.
Yeah. So like, that's why I wanted to show everyone, because like, this is abnormal results. Like, people are aiming for, 2%, 3%. And that's why I want to get into like the parts of, why you're even getting 15% reply rates. So yeah, so you added 41K in MRR, and that was for in 30 days using cold email, and that was for your short form content agency, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so one thing, and just kind of throwing in the Inframail part here, because I want to get this kind of like belief broken for a lot of people. So a lot of people complain about the cold email infrastructure side a lot every single time. Like, if it's a, sometimes it could be the case, don't get me wrong, but what would you say to those people where infrastructure is always a problem? Any provider, oh my gosh, my deliverability, this and that. Like, you've been using Inframail for, I think, over a year now?
Well over, yeah. I think over a year.
Well over a year with no problems. So what would you say to those people, like infrastructure? How important is it for your cold emails?
I mean, to be completely honest, I think you have to go back to why these mail servers even exist in the first place. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing is these platforms do not want you doing what you're doing. They do not want me doing what I'm doing. And if they saw this, like an engineer at one of these firms saw how we're able to get into all these inboxes, I would definitely be shut down, right? This is run by Google and Yahoo and all these major platforms that do not want other people to talk to other people in the way that we are communicating with these folks. So a good way to kind of think about that is you have to have each domain, even like what we do with you guys at Inframail is we have all these mini domains, right, that are some variation of the main one. We have to start by getting reply rates. And it doesn't even matter how you get them. In fact, I learned a long time ago from J.R. Reese. I don't know if that rings a bell to anybody in the audience, but he had a program that I bought in probably 2016, 2017 about this, which was get people to say no to your cold emails. Like, don't just have a ton of unsubscribes. We have to be getting the response rate up. And we start looking at a campaign level. Some of these campaigns individually are doing 30 or 40 or even 50% reply rates. And that's huge, right? That then tells the servers that, okay, now this guy's good, man. People are actually having conversations with it, meaning that it's not just some spam bot that's getting a sub 1% reply rate. If you're sub 1%, it's a great way to just burn the domain, to never be used once again, you know? And that's where I see a lot of people going wrong is they come to me, they'll be like, Reese, help me with my cold email campaigns. I'm like, well, let's look at the domain. I'm like, well, we got to get all new domains because you've ruined all these. You've been trying to do cold email for a year and you're not even close to a 1% reply rate. Like, what are we doing?
That makes a lot of sense. And I think infrastructure, a lot of providers have come out over the past months and it, makes people hop on. And like you said, people don't even realize why we're here in the first place. It's because Google and Outlook doesn't want these things. I think people just by nature want to point fingers sometimes. Infrastructure, oh, the warm up pool, oh, the sequencer. It's like, I mean, there's a million problems apparently. But I guess in your case, you said half people say no to the email. So how do you get people that, let's say they're not hitting, those 1% reply rates or they're getting low? What is just a quick fix?
Well, it's all in the copy. So we have to be personalized with these emails. So that's step one, even though that's not really the question that you asked, but we got to be hitting a point that they find valuable. Meaning, if you tell me that this award on my wall is really, really cool, and you also know that it's valuable to me, then we can have a conversation, right? Then I'm at least going to give you the time and day to hear you out on whatever you're trying to say or sell me or what have you. And so we have to make that connection first that like, okay, we're two people, right? The thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, we're good. We're two people. Okay. Then the next question is how do we actually bring them into our world for our offer, or how do we actually get a reply, or how do we get them to just communicate with us? Like even to give us the time of day to say thanks for the email, but no thank you, I'm not interested at this time. So it's building that trust and respect in the emails that then gives you the result that you want.
That makes sense. So just personalizing the email so they'll have to reply with something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and and so for me, I'm actually just diverting a bit from the questions I had, but I don't really believe that much in personalization. I'm kind of starting to change that belief, maybe because I don't know how to do it. How do you think about personalization and how do you personalize overall with your list?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. I actually want to know more about what you're thinking on that too, because I'm always curious to know what folks are seeing from like the actual data. You know what I mean? But what I'm looking at is there's all these people doing all of these things on the internet that's getting logged. Right? So there's like this just trail that people leave behind. And now with AI and especially with scraping tools, we can go find that trail that most people kind of feel like is useless. Like, oh yeah, this person said this thing, or he went and did something, or they went and registered. Maybe it's even just them setting up some kind of an LLC or whatever your target market does.
Yeah.
It's probably somehow trackable on the internet.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's posting on LinkedIn. Sometimes that's getting featured in a magazine or going on podcasts, stuff like that. So I talk a lot about this stuff, and I think that's the key leverage that I have over a lot of people trying this stuff is they don't really know where their audience is like truly hanging out. One really good one too that I think is a huge hack is Reddit, and I'll get into that one more later on because AI and Reddit are like well, it's 'cause Sam Altman and Paul Graham go way back, so there's a lot of ties to AI and Reddit. We'll talk about that in a bit, but you got to know where your folks are hanging out, and then from there you can actually summarize that data back to them, that trail that they left, and that gives you some kind of point of entry that's not just something like I saw you attended Harvard, go Crimson, right? It's like that's stupid. That's not personalization. That's just regurgitating public information in a way that's not relevant. So it's finding that relevant information of where they're hanging out, something that's actually valuable to them, that's summarized back to them in a way that creates some form of human connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you use personalization as a way to improve deliverability, improve reply.
Mhm.
Before a couple of years ago, a few years ago, people just did that one line thing you're talking about. I saw you went to Harvard and this and that. Years ago is a lot deeper than that, right? Yeah, so that's very interesting. I think so tell us a little bit about the AI and Reddit before we leave on this topic because I want to get into other stuff, but yeah, definitely give us an overview on how your personalization works.
Yeah, so especially when I'm looking at new targets. So this is for someone that's, they don't really have their first like 20 clients yet. Okay. This is where I'm seeing this, especially like, okay, so especially someone that's struggling with getting clients for an AI based service agency, which I think there's a lot of people in that space. I don't know if they're watching your videos, but there's a lot of people that are trying to get in that world. The information that goes in Reddits and subreddits is being pulled directly into ChatGPT right now. And when you look up something, you're like, hey, give me the honest answer on how to do XYZ. You look at where it scraped the websites from, it's all Reddit. It's primary, like you'll see that. Do you know what I'm talking about? You see that little Reddit icon on almost everything nowadays,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I never even thought about that. And then the fact that you said that Reddit founder and Sam Altman go way back, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, PG, Paul Graham, founder of Reddit. And the funny thing is if you follow the money, Paul Graham doesn't actually make any money on Reddit. Reddit, it's a non-revenue producing company. It doesn't really, they've never figured out the ad model at Reddit. So they're getting this revival through ChatGPT that Sam Altman is giving because all of a sudden all the information that it's pulling, because it's like, Reddit's become the underbelly of the internet of like how to do stuff, what people are saying, that sort of thing. And so you can actually use it to figure out what your audience really thinks about something or the way to use their lingo in your cold email. So it's not a direct, like, I can't go and use AI to figure out, like, oh, this CEO just posted this thing because so much of Reddit is anonymous. But you
Yeah.
can use it to really get like this really nice summary of what's going on. And then you can usually find where other people are hanging out because there's so much data there. So maybe in some subreddit, you're finding out that all these people go to this certain conference. Oh, then I'm going to go look up all the speakers of that conference. And then I'm going to go look up all their people of what they post on LinkedIn, and there's my campaign, right? Another example could be trade registries or other things like that. It becomes this kind of connector to all the great what I call catalyst databases that exist out there.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I honestly never like to me, Reddit has I know it's been on the internet forever. I've never even I'm learning a lot in this because I've never even really considered Reddit. I don't even trust Reddit to be honest. I'm like, oh, it's just a bunch of anonymous people. I have a thing with this anonymity thing. So I'm like, I don't really like Reddit. Who knows what's writing that? But I realize now, I guess they revived because all of their data is so important. It has like they have the pulse on what society thinks. So now AI, Sam Altman loves that, and I'm sure a lot of people are they're making this huge comeback, which is really interesting. So, do you have like even a one specific example of how you would use it just for someone? I guess you could just pick a random niche and how someone could use Reddit to tie it together, and then we can move on to some other things.
Yeah, I'll give you the highest level of this, and this has absolutely nothing to do with cold email, but it has to do with getting clients, and I think that's what people are here for. So if you know how to use Reddit, you should be talking about your company and even creating negative or positive just volume. You need to create volume of data on Reddit right now so that GPT recommends your company to users that type in, how do I solve this problem? Like, for example, how do I solve email deliverability? Well, I should know from typing into ChatGPT 5.0, right, which is the one that's scraping most of the information from Reddit, that it's Inframail.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. I think
So
there's a lot of unique perspectives on this. So personalization is one important thing for your cold email campaigns, which I never really considered in mine. So what are some really important factors aside from personalization where, you get super deep and you're like, okay, this is really important. A lot of people, for example, say copy's not that important. Do you feel the same way? A lot of people say certain things are important, certain things are not. What's the most important to you? And like, what do you focus on the most?
when it comes to getting like reply rates,
Well, when it comes to even, yeah, I mean, I guess just making your cold email successful where you get someone on a meeting and close them. Like, what part of that process within the cold email is like that most important where you're like, okay, if I do this, everything else will happen.
let me share my screen really quick. We'll look at this one right here. So this is a list of number of leads that have been sent at least one email. So these are just the prospects. So there's 375 prospects in this micro segment, right?
By the way, this is insane. Like 375 people contacted, 30, almost 33% reply rates, 123 people, 70 people are interested. Like,
Yep, and it made us $108,000 from this. That is in contract value, which will be realized over the next 3 months. Okay,
okay.
each one's worth about 30 grand from the way we structure our contracts. So this list of 375 converted into about it's a six-figure list of 375 prospects, right? So when you say like, what's the most important thing? It's who in the world are these 375 people?
Yeah,
Right? And
sure.
how do I get them to align as closely to my offer as humanly possible? So that's the first thing. And that's why we talked about Reddit and microsegments is where in the world are these people hanging out and what attributes do they have? Because once I figure that out, I can go find other batches of 375 like clockwork. Yeah, that's the main thing. Because even if I say something really fancy to the wrong people, it doesn't really matter. And
Yeah.
then even if I say something mediocre to the right people, it's a lot more likely that they'll show up and give me their first Stripe payment.
Yeah, 100%. So walk us through this process. I mean, maybe you can reveal some stuff, maybe you can't. Yeah, where do you pull the list from? What's your enrichment process? What tools are you using? Just high level.
So here's what's crazy. I tried to do a video on this on my own channel and I just never posted it because it was so complicated. There really isn't a way for me to do this without using manual VAs. So everything that I do right now is with I have a Catalyst database finder. This is a gal, Sumaya is her name. Then I have a data manager. His name is John Carlo, right? So that, and then he goes and has a recruitment team of 25 or so manual lead gatherers. Like I'm doing cold outreach in 2015, like VAs and researchers and teams. Like it feels outdated, but we wouldn't get these results just with AI. And that's what if I could ever put a system to what we're doing that's very costly and very time consuming and it could just be done with AI, I think it would probably be a almost $1 billion product because the scale would just be so limitless, right? If every lead's worth, even to my little company that's only doing a couple, a little over 1 million a year, it's like that could be that could be pretty silly for some of the big players, and like especially like when you look in the world of Zoom Info and Salesforce, it's like that would be pretty nuts. But yeah, so I think it's more about figuring out that piece, man. Like who are these clients and what do I need to say to them so that they understand why I'm reaching out. Yeah, and I got some frameworks around that too that I'd be happy to dive into. But yeah, where do you want to go with that? Where do you think folks are going to get value from it?
Well, I think what one thing that we should point out is that you have a whole system for data that has multiple people in it, which a lot of people they're just pulling a list from Apollo. They have their basic filters, maybe some advanced filters, and that's their data, right? And I mean my style is high volume, so it's similar to that. So yours, I guess what you're saying is like the data is absolutely the most important part of your campaign, and it wouldn't work without the really good data and the team that you have around pulling data.
Yeah, and doing the research. So when I reach out to somebody, I know if they have an offer. I know if they've launched books. I know I've got a whole list. They hit a huge column. So each one, I think it's a 15 sheet column, and they fill it out. So it's like first name, last name, email, secondary email, phone number, which phone number we get from Clay. So we're doing a whole bunch of stuff with Clay too. I should probably mention that. But yet even that requires some manual research on top of it. And then, so let me start from the beginning here. Let me
Yeah.
start from the very beginning. Okay. Catalyst Database Research Manager, Data Manager, whole team of people, VAs that are going out there and filling out and gathering the Catalyst databases manually. Okay,
And, and,
researching.
and then they have like some criteria for that.
There's criteria for that. That the researcher, or not the researcher, the yeah, she is. She's a database researcher. So she's out there finding out what we should be gathering for each segment that
Yeah.
then turns into the campaign later. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're exactly right. They have pre-qualifications that they're looking for to add them to the list.
Okay. And then
Um,
yeah, so
then
researcher, VA pulls data manually. Okay.
mhm. That then comes back to the data manager who managed the whole process. And that then gets sent off to our GTM, right? This whole new fancy word that we keep hearing over the
Yeah.
last 24 months, go to market. I don't know why I think that's so funny. I just all of a sudden on LinkedIn, you just start seeing GTM like all over the place. And I
Yeah.
don't even know why personally. I've been in this space too long, I guess. I don't
I,
get it.
I think it's honestly because of Clay. I think Clay created that job title. So,
I think they did too. That's smart. I mean, they're going to be, they're already like 1.5 billion.
I think they were evaluated at 3.1 recently. So,
I wouldn't be surprised. They'll go to 10 and beyond. I know they will because anybody who creates a term like that, they just go big. In fact, did you know that HubSpot created the word inbound?
I didn't actually know that at all. No. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I heard it on My First Million. Because they had him on and they were talking about the first conference. It's still called inbound, but they created that job title, and it's a really smart thing that you can do as a SaaS founder is like own a niche and create the title. And I think you got to be right. It's probably what they did. They probably took that same playbook.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. So researcher, VA pulls the data, goes back to the data manager, goes to a go to
Hmm.
engineer or a go to market person. And
Yep.
what does that GTM guy do?
So he's looking at those columns of data. Let's just say there's 15 on every standard list. And
Okay.
he's actually going to take our standardized prompts and put them through Clay to make sure that pretty much all those emails are going to be sent that look fully personalized
Fully.
from the first line to the pitch to who we do it for that's similar to them because we have a huge list of we've done that we've had about 150 clients in the agency, so we've got a lot of niches, and then we match those niches up, right? That's its own knowledge base. So each sort of prompt has custom prompt which is being prompted from a small knowledge base.
Yeah.
So that's why the emails come out looking so great, and that's why you're seeing 15% average response rates. And so then final step for him is writing the kind of finalized copy, and then that goes into instantly. A question that you asked earlier, though, which is a really good question, is like, what's the most important thing? It's not actually the copywriting. It's can you hit a whole row or a whole column of data and have the prompting write the good copywriting for you based on your offer and based on who they are. I think that's like the skill to know right now.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing is when we're having this conversation, I'm imagining the people that listening are watching and they're like thinking of personalization as a first line, which is kind of like just this assumption maybe. It's like the personalization is just one line. It's just that this is one thing that it pulls data from. So yours is, and I'm actually working on this with my own go-to-market guy, you could say, and he's dabbling with this idea. And so that's what you're doing. So you're pulling in all this information that you have on this person and you're writing a different email in full. So you don't even need spin tax. There's no spin tax in your world. Every email is different, and you're pulling in all the data points from each person, and you write a personalized email from top to bottom for every single person using AI.
Yes, but it is based on a system of prompts. And so if you went through and looked at my positive responses, so we get them all the time, you'd be like, I see the pattern here. Like you guys are just kind of rewording all this stuff
Yeah.
based on it. But to the prospect who's never gotten another email from us, it just looks like it's this beautifully crafted email where there's literally like soul installed into these emails. Kind of like if I sent you a quick DM, like you wouldn't think it's AI. It's like, oh, that's just my buddy Reese, you know? It's kind of like that with these emails. And there's some typos. There's like some like periods that aren't even in the right spot. Like that's a big part of it too.
Wow. Yeah, that's how we're getting low, like super low level now. And so there's even mistakes that sometimes it makes just to show a little bit of soul, just to show someone wrote it. That's amazing. I think a lot of people are gonna understand, maybe someone might not do this, but they'll understand, okay, how this actual like personalization works, like what you can actually do. That's not this one line BS. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, I don't know if you could show examples, but I kind of want to.
Yeah, I'll show one really quick that I'm comfortable sharing here. Let me just
Yeah, yeah,
dive
yeah.
right.
Go for it. I would love to see this.
So like it's very subtle. It's very subtle. It's not like because we don't want to come across as unprofessional ever either. So if you read the bottom of this right here, see how it says we primarily help MDs and health practitioners in our space. We launch short form posts every day across all hit millions of views per week. Without a shadow of a doubt, we can explode your material. There's so much value here. So see how like even like this isn't capitalized. That's a great example, right? Where it just looks kind of okay, I get it, right? So that's a good example. I think there's some follow-ups here too where, it's really, really subtle stuff where just like specifically AI wouldn't normally do that. And they're always putting the dash dash in there and they're always capitalizing everything and it just looks really clean. So that's really all it is. I don't go like to the extent of, sounding like I'm just like writing a really crappy text or something like that. But I'm sure you could push the boundaries on that and you'll probably have better results going even the other way of being even less casual. Oh, that's the other thing that we do. We throw a lot of LOLs in here. There's something funny about not finishing a sentence and then just no period and just writing the letters LOL in all lowercase. I don't know
That one,
why.
I've done that as a follow-up, and it always works every single time they bite. I just put, "Hey, the first email I sent you was actually me, LOL," and then they'll just be like, they'll just, yeah, it's just a reply every time. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, man, I've noticed that. Like, I've noticed your copywriting change over the years, like too, with even the nurture emails that you do. Like, I've sent you DMs about this. Like, I get a ton of value out of the stuff that you're writing, and I've seen you do that with yours too. So I think, yeah, I think we're in alignment on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I guess moving on. I mean, the personalization was a bunch of gems. So I mean, we can just get into like collecting cash because I think we don't really even talk about that in cold email. We just talk about how to send, deliverability, whatever, right?
It's so true, man. It actually is like I'm so guilty because I haven't really made a lot of content on it either. It's like, dude, these pot like even that list I showed you from going from getting like a 30% reply rate to even making 100K from those leads. Oh, it's such a big gap that no one talks about.
It's a huge gap.
Pretty-
And I think, a lot of people they're using all these software tools and whatever. They want to make an ROI back very quickly, but they don't even understand like, look, it's like it's not a magic pill. It just gets you in front of people. You still got to say the right things and you still have to, have a good offer and things like that. So what is your process like when someone, you send a campaign out, you have this super amazing top-down personalized message, they're reading it. And then, yeah, basically, they reply and say, "Hey, I'm interested. Send me over some information." Where does it go from there? Like, who's part of that process? Like, you have this list of data people. I wonder what that looks like for your sales.
Yeah, I'll just give you the sauce, man. I'll just give you the sauce because I've been working on this like that's why I've been doing a ton on like YouTube and stuff is as I was really struggling with this.
Okay.
To a point where we were generating the leads, but it was hardly worth me sending the campaigns because we weren't closing. Everything was just like dead in the water right after they responded. Because the way I think about it is their positive response is nothing more than a toe in the water, right? They're not jumping in head first into the pool, right? Doing a belly flop into your offer. They're just you're getting like the edge of the toe, like, I'm here, I'm trying this, but I'm not convinced by any standard. And they shouldn't be. It's a cold email. Like, they're from a random domain, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, people are getting very wise to this stuff. And so here's what it looks like, right? I'm using Instantly's new tool that is the agent to respond immediately. And I mean immediately. Now, the training on that is a whole nother story that I'll have to give. I mean, we can get into that. It would take a little bit of time.
I was gonna just cut you off there 1 second. The AI reply agent, huge deal. If you respond to leads within 5 minutes, it's a crazy thing. I made an AI reply agent video. I don't know if you watched it, but just like yeah, I guess what part of it is when you first made it? Like what part of it, when you say you spent a lot of time on it, was it the prompting? Was it the process?
So because there's so many different situations that a prospect could come to you with, like we're in a very unique space, and so there's a lot of conflict in our world of what we do. And so somebody could come at us full steam, like, "Hey, I hate that you guys work with this person, this, that, and the other," right? And it's like, how is this thing supposed to respond to that? And so then it just wouldn't. So you can see involvement rate is 87.8%. Resolution rate's really, really high. The human intervention was needed on 12 of them. But at first, this was really, really high. And then the ones that it was sending stuff back to was really, really bad, where
Hmm.
it was like given completely random information. So the confidence score has gone way up since using it. Total replies generated today, it says the ninth that we've already, this thing's been used on 36 emails, which is really, really good. So yeah, it's definitely gotten better, but you've got to train this thing with, I'd say like 2,000 or 3,000 plus words based on dozens of scenarios. And I at first was confused that how an agent actually works because it's not just like a GPT or inputs to outputs. If you give it the actual context of how to think, that does trickle down because it's a self-prompting machine that can then answer and handle situations. It's more like a manager versus an employee. And if you give it the time of day and work through the things, I've noticed it get a lot better based on like what it knows about our company versus just giving it, these little one-off 2 or 3 sentences here and there. That doesn't work that way, in my opinion.
For sure. No, no, 100%. I mean, I created a whole like Google Doc template for with like 6, 7 different headlines that show the actual because at the end of the day, prompting AI, in my opinion, I mean, the kind of what I mean, that's actually what it is. What prompt engineers do is that it's kind of like when you're at an essay, you have an intro, you have a body, you have a conclusion. It's contextualizing the information for the AI to pull information when it gets a reply. If you just muddy everything in there, then it won't reply that well. So it's a big thing to have the context. So I guess the reply agent responds, you have some human intervention there. So like I'm guessing a VA is there and then there's a draft that comes out and then you send depending on if they think the draft is good or not.
Yeah, that's it exactly. So I have her name's Grace. She handles all of that right now, and she's also the we call her a sales admin. So she's also handling scheduling for everybody. So as these are coming in, 30 or 40, I think we probably get like 40 to 60 responses a day. She's also distributing those and making sure that we're good on responding to them and all that good jazz. But it'll get tripped up, man. It'll really get tripped up with people. And the other thing you really don't want it doing is putting double dashes in there and really sounding like AI. And so really whatever you're doing on your first cold email, you got the successful response if they're responding to you. So you want to keep that cadence. I call it a point of alignment. So you kind of figure that out in your original thing of like, here's who I am, here's who they are. Let's draw that line. And where does that go? Well, it leads to us working together. But in what kind of a route are we going to need to take to get there? But let me answer the direct question, which is like, what's going on with the reply agent? I just looked that I'm onboarding a new appointment center rep. 1 out of 22 are getting booked completely automatically with AI. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's our funnel. They respond to that low friction ask. AI is responding immediately and it's sending them our VSL page in a little templatized version.
One thing, by the way, when you say immediately, are you saying right after the reply or is there a delay of 1 minute? Because I noticed that when I had an immediate reply, I would get people that are like, oh, this is fake. I'm not going to reply. Just a delay of 1 minute helps. So do you have a delay there at all?
Yeah, so just naturally the way that the AI works, it for mine, it just takes a few minutes to go through all the documentation. I think that's so when I look, it's usually like 3 to 5 minutes, but in my world, it's just as long as you're under 5 minutes, you're good.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So yeah, so go on. They reply with, there's a delay, then they reply.
We're saying you ask for information. I give it to you, and I give you my VSL, and I say, hey, if you want more information, go to info.da-da-da, and it has our domain on there. Then what they're doing is some of them are checking out the information, but they're kind of just breezing it. We're just allowing them to dip a toe in the water and just happen to go to our VSL page if they want to. But then at the end of that, I say, hey, do you want my director of accounts to put together a quick Loom video on how this could work like specifically for you guys? And I just send that. That sends out immediately. So, hey, yeah, thanks. So we acknowledge. And then we kind of go through the three A's for Alex Hormozy, right? Acknowledge, associate, and ask another question, right? Have you ever heard of that framework before?
Well, I haven't heard that exact one, but I definitely do know where you are. Acknowledge. I just didn't have the middle part. Oh, acknowledge and then ask.
Associate, yeah. So the next one is association. So like if they say anything important in that first one, besides like, yeah, send me more information, which is the most common one, sometimes we'll get a long response like, man, thank you for checking out my LinkedIn post. I just thought that was so cool because this, that, and the other. So we want to acknowledge and then we want to associate that with the best clients that we have. Man, our best partners are always talking about this subject. That's so crazy that you bring this up. And then they ask is, hey, would it be cool if I just sent over a Loom video with from my director of accounts who could hop in this thread and just kind of give you like hands-on exactly how we'd be able to help you? Does that sound good? Now, the response rate on that one isn't very high, but they are reading it and they are checking it out. But then guess what happens? During the business hours, we have a team of three Loom appointment setters, and then they're following up, as quickly as possible and making like a 3 minute Loom video explaining the process of, hey, it's basically like Nick Reeves kind of template of adding value and then just letting them make the next call on what they want to do. But
Yeah.
then we also will drop the booking link and that sort of thing. And then that kind of becomes the conversation piece is everything's built around that Loom video.
Interesting.
And then now we're seeing just a crazy high number of bookings coming through. We just booked 114 calls in the last 28 days, which is 4 weeks.
Wow.
So it's definitely working. It's working a lot better. Like I think our rate on those would have been like 13 to maybe 25 meetings. So we easily 4x'd the book rate on those.
Yeah.
And so then it just comes down to getting them on the call. We have a really high show rate for those. It's
Yeah.
over 90%. And then just figuring out close rates. And you got a pretty successful business on your hands at that point.
Yeah, so that's an interesting. And so the Loom appointment setter, just to dive into that for a short second. So those are VAs or like the who is that like doing those looms?
No, these are all US based people. And now this is where it gets into building your culture at your company. And this is all forward facing customer people. And yeah, like it's pretty cool. You can get some of the most high quality people on the planet, man. There's a lot of here's the thing. Our country has done a huge disservice to young people in this in the education system. And obviously, you guys can I'm not trying to bring this to be a whole nother direction. I'm not going to go down that route. But what I will say is there are a lot of young people that are looking for real skills and they're willing to come work for your company and they're actually looking for direction. And so if you're a strong enough leader and you have a great mission at your company and your offer is working, you can get some of the most creative, talented, college educated like young people to come work and make Loom videos for you happily and aggressively. I got one guy that makes like 14 of these things a day. He's based out of Colorado. He's 19. He's making about 1,200 bucks a week. So he's brought in, 4 to 6K a month consistently, remote, part time, like, and it works because you create a comp plan for them that just works, man. I'll pay that kid that same rate all day long, like when we're getting people showing up and closing on these deals. So right
Yeah.
now we have 4 people that are doing that.
Wow. Yeah, that I mean, so that's also a big piece, I'm sure, because it's different when a US based person, I mean, look, not to be rude, but with no accent, comes on American just like them and they're American. And like they're just relaying information and they're young. I think that's really cool. A lot of people are probably hear that and they're like, oh, making 14 looms, that's so easy, 3 minute looms. And he's making about 5 grand a month. That is actually the most difficult thing to do ever. I've done that before. I could barely handle 5 looms coming in every day. It is the most tiring process. You don't want to do it. You don't even want to do anything after you send looms. So
Mm.
that's a very interesting piece. That's probably like the gold in your funnel too, where they're just like, oh, we love this.
You know what they always say too? They always say this in the response. They'll give the really long response, right? And it's just like microtransactions. So, and this could be a nugget for your audience. This might be obvious to most people, but we want microtransactions. The more microtransactions, the better. What's a microtransaction? It's when somebody's spending time with you around your offer. They live in your sphere. So if somebody sits down to watch a 3 minute Loom video and takes 25 minutes to respond to it, they've already spent time, which means that what's to follow after a microtransaction is a larger transaction. And so it's just energy going towards them that they can then reciprocate and give the opportunity to do that. And right now with AI, data is so easy to transfer via text. Something really great happens when it's a high quality person, they're educated, they're passionate, and they're convicted in what you're offering as well as that client's success. Like I'm like, man, I love Inframail, dude. I just want to see you guys succeed. Like, and I'm pitching, I'm showing you what this could look like. Like you cannot help but get on that call because it's rare, man. You're not gonna find that with most people. It's just everybody's just trying to get it done via text and it's vague. It just doesn't hit the mark. And so for us, it was a must. And we've just built it into the culture that that's what you do here, really to graduate into any sales positions too, is you got to get your hands a little bit dirty with the Loom videos. But I don't know, we're kind of in between on that. Like it's a totally different mindset than sales. You got to kind of be built for that volume if you're going to get into it.
No, that's awesome sauce. I think the Loom thing is a huge thing, and like you said, getting your hands dirty because right now in a world of AI agents, whatever, a lot of people just want to automate parts of their business. I'm guilty of it too. Like I just want to automate stuff, but it's just you lose touch, you lose the pulse. And people were doing deals, shaking hands, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. That's how real business is done. I think there's some merit to that. You can't just automate everything with agents, although they do a pretty decent job. Yeah, I mean, still, like, to actually make money, like that Loom video is a big part of it. So I guess we can get into a lot of things. I mean, you dropped so many gems about personalization, about appointment setting processes. So for someone listening, let's just move on. You gave them, I think, too much homework. You gave me some homework that I need to do right now too, about the prompting. I think it does the double dashes, which I need to stop that ASAP. Um, so, so for someone listening though, what is some advice that you would give them? They're listening right now, and maybe just some general advice with their cold email. Like just anything that comes to mind where you're like, I think one thing that I found is every time I do something, there's a moment where everything clicks. And
Mhm.
where's that? What's something you can give someone where maybe something can click for them? Because every time I get information from you, something clicks for me. What's like, yeah, one thing that like someone could just be successful off of that click?
Dude, I mean, honestly, I would love to workshop what you guys are doing. I mean, I don't know if this is like part of your marketing plan, but I could do a whole Inframail marketing plan for you right now if you're open to it.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
So who do you guys target? Agencies primarily?
Yeah, B2B agencies. So a large portion is like huge B2B SaaS companies with sales teams, and then also B2B agencies,
Okay.
big bulk of it. Yeah.
So they're already using Instantly and tools like that. Okay, cool. Dude, like one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had in like specifically cold email, and I think a lot of people will relate to this, and I think this is what I think you should be doing at Inframail too, is just doing marketing to get partners, not necessarily clients, because one partner can bring in so many. And I know you guys already have an affiliate program, which I need to get signed up for, but it's more than that. It's actually targeting them and courting them as a partner. So you have all these nodes that then push out to your actual dream clients that would otherwise not be accessible in a direct marketing fashion. And that's where there's just like gobs and gobs of wealth to be picked up is when you can tap into that and do that successfully. And then the other really cool thing about those sort of partner marketing is a lot of people go, Reese, I listen to your videos, I watch all your stuff. There's no Catalyst databases in my market. And I'm like, yeah, but you can also reach those people through partners, right? Here's a great example. And for some reason, I'm just kind of obsessed with this whole AI thing. And so I'll go down this route. If I'm an AI agency that saves companies money in 2025, like let's just say I save construction companies money by processing all of their documents for every project, and we have this whole thing, and I specialize in that, right? Well, guess who I'm targeting? Am I going to go target every construction company in the world, right? No. I want to go talk to accountants who specialize in construction and tell that accountant that if we can get in their books, what are they spending a month on document processing and like 80 employees to do one job that AI could be doing? It's like, well, then the accountant looks really good, and they're just going to refer you to like 90 people, and now you go retire on your yacht, right? But you're thinking about it all wrong when you're like, got to go after this guy and then this guy and then this guy. It's like there's often one domino that you need to knock down, and we're just figuring that out right now too. And things are going to get a little bit crazy, and then just incentivize everybody. Like give them a ton of money when they get someone to sign up. Don't just say thanks and send them a gift card. Like send them like $90,000 or whatever. Like I don't care what you got to pay. Just make the numbers make sense and everybody wins. So anywho, I think for Inframail though, I'm looking at like there's so many nodes that you guys could get in and become part of people's cold email programs and all these other things, agency meetups and masterminds and stuff like that too. And the more I'd probably dig through the data, there'd probably be some really big ones where it's almost a bolt on to other things too.
Yeah, for sure. I think we probably have to have a separate conversation about that because I've done my due diligence a little bit on the partners. I'm probably doing it wrong, just like many other things I've realized in this conversation. So yeah, so I guess for someone, I guess it's for a specific person, sometimes I guess the good example, the construction companies, you don't go after the actual person, you go after
Hmm.
associated with and get everything from that person like referral wise.
You go after their trusted advisors, which in their case is legal counsel, their accountant, their agencies, like whoever has the relationship, they can just deploy it and everybody wins. Like it's like this really novel concept that everybody knows, but just doesn't actually do, right? We all know that referrals are how most business actually works, right? When you look at like big ticket items, like, oh, you guys should spend 120K this year on AI, like that would have to come from somebody that already knew them, and so it's internal. And the reason I love because we meet quarter or not quarterly, monthly with our bookkeeper, and we always look at how can we cut some expenses because we spend 4 grand a month on SaaS products alone, and that's like our instantly subscription. It's Clay, it's all these things, right? And it's like, and then our labor is a lot. We run an agency, so we have $20,000 a month of expenses there. So it's like looking though from an accounting perspective at like where you can cut costs. That one's really obvious because then the accountant looks great. They go, John, you know how you guys are spending 9.3 million a year on staff? Like, what if I could bring that down to four during these hard times? It's like, well, that would be really valuable. So, yeah, I think those kind of partnerships are really really big. They take time, they take building, but it's how higher level business people think instead of I need to go land 16 construction companies, which by the way is a very hard niche. I have not met anyone who's really cracked that niche when they go one to one. It's very tough.
Yeah, one-to-one anything is really tough for sure. I think even for us, we're just going off of the demos, like booking 15-minute demos, and sometimes they're qualified, sometimes they're not. I just have so much volume and passion when doing them because I like it.
Are you doing your own sales?
Yeah, yeah, I do them. I do them. Yeah, I do deliverability consultations. Where for people, just yeah, just like just to have a pulse, because I was too out of it. I feel like for some time, and I wanted to get back into it, and was like, all right, let me actually like be present and uh do the hard stuff, which I shouldn't really be doing sales or consultations, but it makes it good. I think people like that too. I like it because they're surprised I'm on the call. Sometimes they're like, you're on the call. I'm like, yeah, like whatever. Um, so I guess
Yeah.
last question to help us out a bit, and then we're going to go to hot seat just for fun. So the last question is, would you recommend Inframail cold email infrastructure to someone else?
I have been recommending it, and I do recommend Inframail. And
Okay.
here's why. Something that they're doing on the back end just works, and I don't even know what it is. But I know that I've tried a lot of different services, and I need to build what I call that like that upswing period where we're getting a lot of responses quickly to build trust. And I don't know if it's just how you guys set things up, and you can probably speak on that more from a technical perspective. But for the price that I pay, for the amount of domains that I have, if you guys shut down your service or didn't allow us to be on there, it would make life very challenging. I'll tell you that first and foremost.
Yeah,
Like it would be a whole other world. Like I really rely on you guys in a big way.
yeah, and we, we take a lot of pride in that. That's why we try to make it a good experience for everyone. You are maximizing the potential. I don't even think people realize. I mean, they see it in this video. Dude, I appreciate the words, and we're definitely gonna have a conversation after this. But some hot seat questions. I always do this on the thing. So instantly versus smart lead, which one are you choosing? Just a hot seat.
Instantly. Yeah, instantly.
Personalization or volume?
Personalization.
Clay or no clay?
Oh, Clay. Yeah, Clay. A little note though, just for anybody thinking about joining, is just get the one that you can plug in with your own APIs. I think it's 229, but like I don't really use any of their credits just for finding phone numbers. It's the only reason I use any Clay credits.
Yep, I'm this.
Everyone always complains about credits. Just it's just like the weirdest thing. I'm just go buy the one that gives you all the API access to do your own. Anyways, yeah.
Way cheaper. And then verify catch-alls, or you don't verify catch-alls?
Verify. I think. Yeah, we don't send it. Yeah, we verify everything though. So.
Yeah, it makes sense for you because you have such a small list. You want to squeeze the juice out. For me, I don't really care about that as much. Lead magnet or no lead magnet?
In some ways, the Loom video is a lead magnet, but like standardized PDF lead magnets, like the Russell Brunson days, not so much. Right
Okay,
now, at least. Yeah.
that's, okay. Some fun ones: steak or chicken?
Steak all day, baby.
Yeah, sparkling or still?
Oh, sparkling. I go through so many sparkling waters. It's insane.
Okay, what about sushi or steak? I have a feeling it's steak.
Steak.
Yeah.
Steak. I'm from Montana, man. It's steak all day.
I feel it. I feel it. Well, Reese, dude, I appreciate you hopping on, man, and saying all the great things about Inframail, showing us your business, your offer. Congrats on 100K a month for like the millionth time, that you've done it. But yeah, dude, it's a lot of cool sauce that you gave. I think a lot of people that actually send cold emails they've been doing it and they maybe haven't found a lot of success, and they seem like they're doing all the right things. We'll get a lot of value from it because I got a lot of value from it for sure. And there's just things I'm already like thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna change that. So, dude, I appreciate you hopping on for real. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for giving me the time, and yeah, looking forward to maybe doing another one of these someday.